Okay, pull up a chair. Pull up a chair. I've got sniffles. Start these three. To feel good, nude. Excellent. Next. How to feel good naked. Next. Go live. Whew. Another Joy Club live stream from me, BxSassy coach, to you, my lovebirds. And today we're going to be talking all about how to feel good nude. Getting comfortable in our bodies, in their fine naked self. For some people it can feel like a walk in the park, and for other people it can feel like a lot more. Work has to be done to get into the headspace to feel confident, comfortable, unashamed, happy to be naked. And we're not just talking about nudity with ourselves, which is one thing. We're also talking about nudity with others. But it's important to recognize that both are conversations that we're going to be having today. My own relationship to nudity has been a bit of a long, windy one. You might be able to relate. When I was maybe 18, I think I was still very shy around getting changed in front of people. The only people I felt comfortable to be naked around were actually very close female friends who are a little bit older than me. It took a good 10 years until my late 20s when I went to Berlin, which was a much more liberated, open-minded environment. Somewhere where having a lot of body hair, like I do, wasn't such a thing that repulsed people or even became a topic of conversation. It just seemed to be more acceptable that I could be a naked human with my body on show and my hair on my limbs, on my belly, everywhere. And it's because of these little pockets in Berlin where you have the lakes and you have the saunas and you have a general consensus that if you want to be naked, it's absolutely okay, and you can go to this place and you can go there and everyone's free and easy and happy. But honeys, I grew up in the UK, and the UK is somewhat different. If you didn't know, we're quite prudish. We don't really like to even talk about nudity, or the idea of taking our clothes off is really something that is preserved for the person you're about to have sex with. And I've actually been told that by other women around me who feel highly uncomfortable in their bodies, highly uncomfortable with the idea of someone else seeing them naked in their body. And so I know from living proof that a lot of people feel the only time it's appropriate to be naked is with a loved one. I think recognizing why we might be comfortable in that situation, but maybe we won't be comfortable with A, being naked on our own, with ourselves, and B, naked in front of strangers in mass environments. Maybe it's at a lake, maybe it's a nudist beach, maybe it's a nude-friendly party. A lot of people struggle. They really struggle with being able to think that it's okay. And I'd like us just to provoke the question of why is it that we question. Too many questions here. I want to provoke a conversation around why we think there is so much shame attached to the naked form. If we're only seeing nudity in a sexual setting or an environment where you're with your partner, your husband, your platonic partner, whatever, then we're only saying that naked bodies are for people who we have intimacy with. If we're not able to be naked with ourselves, we're also really saying, I'm not able to be intimate with myself. I don't know if that rings true to you, but if you do struggle in your body to be out of the shower, freshly washed, towel down your body, and then you're like, oh, I don't want to look at myself naked. I don't want to touch myself naked. I've got to put my clothes on. Then I think it's a beautiful opportunity to start to question why. Why is it that you feel detached from these parts of yourselves? And so, as always, I'm here to offer a few pieces of advice. If you struggle with touching parts of your body, then maybe you can find really gentle ways of doing it with your clothes on. If you're someone who's never wanted to touch their chest or their breasts, who finds the idea of touching a nipple somewhat uncomfortable, then try with your clothes on and roll your hands and move your hands, your fingertips over this part of your body really gently in a way that allows you to play with sensation too. Maybe it's a stroke, a soft stroke, a light scratch. Maybe you just want to go in hard and give it a bit of a tap. Be careful of the softer areas of the body. These are really important little steps for us to show ourselves, oh wow, I actually am ready to be connected to you. And oh, this is nice. There's someone suggesting in the chat tantra massage. And I think that's also a similar idea, right? You're connecting. With our understanding of tantra, it's very warped in the West. It's not actually what everyone thinks it is, which is just sex. It's not at all. And I would really suggest you check out Henika Patel and her book Sensual to really get to grips with what tantra means. But generally, in the West, in our society, especially in the UK, we can have a lot of barriers and a lot of walls up when it comes to interacting with another human. And where those seeds were first laid is a really important thing to question. I grew up in a Christian household. I grew up in an environment where we weren't allowed to say the word naked. I grew up where never seeing a pair of breasts, apart from in my male friend's Playboy magazine that I found under a sofa. So if you relate to this, if you also grew up in a very contained, confined space that was saying no nudity, no mention of sex, don't touch your body, definitely don't have your hands down your trousers, all these things that we're shamed for and told off about can mean that we're very disconnected from our bodies when we become adults. And if we're disconnected from our body as an adult, how are we going to let other people connect with ourselves? How are we going to let pleasure and sensation and desires and fantasies play out if we have this wall up, if we have this disconnection? I come from this approach as someone who is hairy, and I had to deal with a lot of internal shame and fear that if someone stroked my leg and felt my hair, they would be turned off, repulsed, and not want to be in the same bed or environment as me. It was so planted in my head that hair on a woman was ugly that I used to have to tell people before I even really got to the point of having sex to say, just so you know, I'm a hairy woman and I don't want to feel any shame about my legs when and if it gets to the point where I'm going to take my clothes off. I had to do that so that I could mentally prepare. If they responded with like, oh, I really don't like hairy legs, then fuck it, I'm not going home with them. But if they're able to recognize I'm sharing an insecurity, they would usually reproach or respond saying their own insecurity too. I remember someone taking my hand after I had confessed about my hairy legs. They took my hand and they put it on their knee. And they were like, feel this. And they're like, I had a knee accident and it means that I can't always move my leg in a bendy way. So there's going to be certain sexual positions that I can't do. And that felt so lovely because you come together sharing these vulnerabilities. So when it comes to nudity, sometimes another stepping stone is being able to articulate out loud to someone, I want to be naked in front of you, but I feel really self-conscious about my stomach, for example. And then you give them the opportunity to respond. And if they are a loving, kind human, which I believe most of us are, they will respond with praise. Like, there's nothing for you to worry about. You look gorgeous with your stomach. I want to have my face in your stomach, whatever it is. There's going to be desire there if you have a connection. And if you're around friends or family members, you can also ask them, be like, I'm really insecure about my stomach. I want to be able to show you guys. Can you cheer me on? And if they're good friends, they're going to be like, come on, honey, you look great, and all that jazz. At least that's what happens in my friendship circle. If you don't have those kinds of friends, I suggest you go out and you get some of them. I don't know how to buy them, but you know, there's some good people in the world, and they will change your way that you feel about yourself. Feeling good naked. The other life-changing thing that happened for me was that I took up life modelling. Life modelling allowed me to be naked in front of people with no objective apart from to be drawn, which meant there was no sexual interactions, there was no judgment, there was not even a conversation. It was just a moment of me sitting and being admired and observed and given attention to by a bunch of strangers who were out to draw. And I now help co-host a life drawing class called Body Love Sketch Club. And all the people who come through to this class are also the models. So they have the opportunity to model with us at various scales of nudity or clothed, whatever feels comfortable for the guests. And I see every single time that we do this workshop, how people feel a release come off their body to be able to just stand naked and be admired, and you see all these different beautiful bodies, so different, so unique. Every arm and leg and ass and belly and boob and head, everything's different on each human, and yet everyone stands there in their glory and they look magnificent and there's no judgment. So if you find that you're constantly judging other people's forms, say you go to the swimming pool and you're starting to critique the people around you and you're questioning their bodies and being like, oh, that's a bit of a XYZ, that leg is a bit, oof, that, I don't know what you're saying mentally, take note. Change those bloody thoughts, because if you're being critical about other people's bodies, you're going to be critical about your own. And that means that you're not going to have a healthy relationship with yourself. There's a big difference to recognizing, oh my goodness, I'm feeling tired, I don't feel good in myself, my body's changing, something's wrong, to being like, oh God, that person's too fat, that person's too hairy, can't believe that's attractive, that's ugly. If you're throwing those comments, it's a very mean voice. Whereas the voice of insecurity, that one that's saying, I don't feel good in my body, that one's asking for love. And you can give it love. You can give it so much love. And I'm saying that as if it's like the simple solution. It's taken me 4 years, 4 bloody years to love this body of mine, just because I'm hairy. And just because society says women shouldn't be hairy. And the more I was able to be naked in liberated, free, unjudgmental, unsexualized spaces, the more I realized my body was mine to love. I didn't have to change it for anybody. And yes, I will go to a pool in a bikini and people will look. But what they'll see is someone very happy to just live in her own body. And that's what you can exude too. You can literally stand up, take off all of your clothes and be like, I look fucking fantastic. And I have no issues with my body. Mindset. Not easy, 4 years, but you can get there with some of the things I've talked about today. Challenging yourself, the way that you're looking at other people, the things you're saying to yourself about other people, check that. Give yourself some love, physically, touching, tactility. It doesn't have to make you feel aroused. It can be soft and gentle. It can be kind. It can be teary. It can be scratchy. Give it the love. Chuck on the oil. Give yourself a good body love session. Try something like life drawing. Try being around other forms and figures so that you're reminded how different we are and how you can be confident in any shape and size and form. And I can't remember what my 4th advice was, but you got loads of it there. If you need some more imagery, you can look on my BxSassy coach site here on Joy Club. You can also find me on Instagram. I would love a little bit more love on the old IG, BxSassy too. And I hope that you join me as I run 6 new upcoming workshops. I've registered them onto Joy Club. You can find all the information, but we have one called Unapologetically You next Thursday on Wax. So find it in my bio, in my links, and I hope to see you there. Thank you for joining in. Bye everyone. You like your body. That's really good news. I'm very happy to hear that. keep liking your bodies.